So are you a player who's struggling with those fat or those thin shots? If so, this video is really going to help. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name's Danny Malcolm. Thank you so much for joining me in today's video. Today I'm going to be helping you with those fat or thin shots, and particularly discussing the 4 key things that might contribute to that. So before we get into it, if you're new to the channel, please consider liking and subscribing by clicking the button below. Lots more content to come to help you guys improve your game. So let's get straight into it. So when it comes to those fat shots or those thin shots, obviously the thin one can cause some issues. The ball's perhaps flying through the green, rattling through your fingers, particularly if you're back over there in Europe, or there's countries at the moment where it's coming into winter. Those thin shots, I know, growing up in the cold, it can really rattle through those fingers. So want to avoid those, but also those fat shots that goes a lot shorter than what we'd like, not quite reaching the green, perhaps on a second shot. So really want to get that strike more pure and that low point control a bit more consistent. So the 4 main ways that can contribute to that we're going to go through here today. Now when it comes to this, yes, there's certain things in the technique we'd like to see to really help improve that low point control, but also just developing your skill and those micro adjustments that you need to do at impact to get that club striking the ground at the right point, which gives you the best chance of hitting it in the sweet spot, as opposed to those low strikes or the ones where you catch the ground before, and obviously that's going to be higher on the face. So number 1 is posture. Now I've gone through this on a separate video, so check this out, but essentially when you're too low, too flexed forward, too much bend in the knees, potential there for heavy strikes, for those chunky strikes. And the opposite's true if you're too tall, not enough flex in the knees, too much up here, greater chance of those thin strikes. But I've gone through that in more detail in another video, so check that out. Number 2 is an excessive move off the ball either way. So an excessive sway in the backswing or a slide in the follow through can cause low point issues and affect high or low strikes on the face. So if we're swaying too far off the ball, then there's a chance, if we don't get back, that we're going to hit the ground before. That's that fat shot. And if we move too far ahead of the ball, there's a chance we're going to catch it thin, low on the face, and again, not what we're looking for. So another way, number 3, is with the radius of your swing circle. If you're a player that, and this is probably the most common that we see, if you're a player that tends to get that radius too wide or loses those angles here, then the club's going to be thrown out, and again, that's going to cause some strikes behind the ball, some fat shots. And this is a bit less common, but you do get it, and players that have too much of this hinge and don't ever release the club, and they'll actually get the low point too far forward and catching it low on the face. So we'll go through that in a moment. And the 3rd one there as well, when it comes to strikes high or low on the face, is your posture throughout the swing. So if you're going to, assuming you're starting well, if you get too much down into the ball, losing the height too much, then that's going to affect the strike, so your dynamic posture is moving too low. And if you're a player that comes too much out of it, then again, that could cause a thin shot. So let's get straight into how to, and we'll leave the posture, but we'll go straight into number 1, which is the sway. So if you're a player that's swaying too far off the ball this way, wonderful tip you can do. First one I really like, just keeping it really simple. So if you're out in the sun like this on a nice sunny day, you can get yourself positioned in such a fashion whereby your head is actually over the golf ball, your shadow is over the golf ball, and just making some little backswing rehearsals where your head stays on that, in the middle of that golf ball, the shadow. Now if you're a player that's going to sway off, you'll see there that the head moves off, and that's going to make it harder to get that low point control. So that's a wonderful one to do, very simple to do, just to create the feels of what you need to do to stay more centered in that backswing and reduce the sway. Another one, if you want to start using some tools when you're practicing, some feedback, is you can grab, if you're on grass like this and you have alignment rods, fantastic, you can just place that in by the side of your trail hip, and this is going to give you some wonderful feedback in that backswing, that if you sway too much, you're going to hit that stick. So that's a very simple one to work on there. And obviously what you're trying to do there is just avoid that, so you get the hips to rotate more, less sway, and that's really going to help you stay more centered and help you with your strike. That was pure there, that one, right out the middle. So again, that's just feedback for you. So if you haven't got that, you can simply use your stand bag, place that behind you with your head cover sticking out for your driver perhaps, and it's going to achieve basically the same thing. So you can do that on a driving range, no problem. And now the same is true, or the opposite is true, if you're sliding too far ahead of the ball. So if you're getting too far ahead of the ball, that means we're moving too far ahead, low point can shift too far forward oftentimes. So what we want to do there is create this environment whereby we have this gap of about, say, 4 inches or so here, just running up from your outside of your left foot. Imagine there's a line there, and just place an alignment rod in that position. Now that's going to give you feedback again. If you're sliding too much, you're going to hit it. So you get to a point whereby with this particular drill, just create enough space here so you can still swing, but create some dry swings first where you're just swinging without the ball. So that means without the ball, and just seeing what you need to feel to stay away from that. For me there, I'm feeling as I shift into the ball, I feel a push off my lead foot, which allows me to rotate and reduces that slide, and that way I'm going to stay clear of this. So a few dry swings first, get the feel of that nice and slow, and then gradually build length into the swing. And then we can go ahead and hit one, just trying to stay away from that stick there. There we go. So you see I stayed away beautifully from that stick. So again, if you're on a driving range whereby you don't have the ground to put a stick in, you can just use your bag with a head cover. You got it sticking out for your driver. And again, that's going to really achieve the same result. Just put it outside your lead foot. And again, that's the feedback for if you're sliding too much. So that's the first piece there, guys, for number 2. Number 3, we spoke about the radius. So I'm going to use here a swing guide. These are really cool training aids for this. So what you might find for a player who, this is probably most common, that actually throws the club here, we'd call this maybe an early release or a cast, is that radius is going to go too far out and hit the ground before. So these swing guides are cool. Just create some feels, some kinesthetics as to how you want to be. So as you get to the top, almost feel like that's resting on your lead forearm. So you've got that hinge there in the wrist. And we just want to keep that on there for as long as we can in the downswing. And that's going to help shift that low point forward and get that strike much more on the golf ball. Obviously we do want to release that coming into the ball, more on this in a separate video, but for those that do too much, you want to exaggerate the other way and feel like you're holding onto this a little bit more, and then we'll let the club release down into the golf ball. So that's a really good one, just to create some feels. You can do some dry swings there, and just what you want to feel as you're coming down there, that you're actually turning the logo of your glove down as well to the ground. Just help you screw up the face at the same time, and then you can hit shots with that on as well. That was a pure nice little draw on that one, just turning that face down. So that's one for those of you which I say is more common. And another one for that is the analogy of if you were in a swimming pool here up to your waist and you was making a backswing. Beautiful, good, all good there, but you want to feel as though the butt of your club gets into that pool first before your club head, so that's again just a nice little analogy to feel like you're keeping those angles a little bit more. So hands into the water first, splash, club head still above the water, and then it comes in into the back of the golf ball. So that's another good way to feel that. Now if you're a player who has too much, again this is a little bit less common, but has too much of this and thins the top of the ball, low points too far forward, then you just need to feel the opposite. So again, you could use a tool like this and you could feel as though you're actually getting that off your lead forearm, getting that to release much earlier, just to feel that low point shifting back a little bit more rather than too far forward. That's a good one there as well. You could also just use a reverse of the swimming pool analogy. So instead of the butts of the club getting in first, you'd want to feel like the club head, just for feels, feel like the club head's getting in there first, and then the grip end afterwards. So this would be more of this sort of feel. And then you could go ahead and hit a shot and just see, oh, that was flush. Beautiful. So again, just some different ideas depending on what it is that you need to work on. So that should help your high or low, fat or thin shots there as well. And then the final piece there, guys, is your dynamic posture. So are you coming out of the shot, or are you dipping too much into it in either the backswing or the downswing. So if you're a player that's dipping too much into the shot, either in the backswing or the downswing, and causing those fat shots, we need to lift this up a little bit. So a wonderful drill for this is grab a tee, pop a ball on a tee, nice and high, and grab your 6 iron. Grab your 6 iron. Normal hold, normal length at the top of the club, and make some swings where you've got to clip that off the tee so you feel much more like you're staying taller through the shot and you're getting that club to be a bit higher in space. You're working on that skill of where's the depth of your circle, where's the depth of your swing arc, rather than it moving down this way. You're going to stay a bit taller and try and clip it off a tee. Now this is a tough one, but it's a good one to practice. That was pretty good there, a little bit thin, so I was perhaps a little bit too high. But oftentimes for that, when the player first tries it, that someone that gets too low will just get straight under that ball and hit the ground, and the ball will go nowhere. So that's a good one there, guys. And then the opposite, if you're a player that's getting too tall, catching it thin, dynamic postures coming out of it either in the backswing or the downswing, then we need to get more down into the shot. So what we do for that, just hold lower on the handle here, almost to the steel or the graphite of your 6 iron again. And what this will do, some dry swings first without a ball, and just feel what you need to do to get down to the ground. Now what you'll find for that is I'm going to need to stay more in posture. The pelvis will go back, chest will stay down to get to the ground. Your first few shots when you do this, you'll probably miss the ground. But this is just helping you, rather than thinking technically, this is just helping you create an environment or a task that's going to make you need to move or incentivize you to move in such a way that gets you to where you want to be without thinking about where your body is. So we can avoid that if we can, that's great. So what we want to do here, yeah, holding low, some dry swings first and gradually build length into the swing. Can you hit the ground a bit more at the correct spot? And then we'll hit a shot holding nice and low. You'll see how much down I'll have to feel here. So to really get down to that one, that was a beautiful strike. Perhaps I should hold low more often. So that's a great one there, guys, for that as well. So hopefully that helps. You've got 4 main ways that might influence the fat or thin shots, high or low strikes on the face. And then for 3 of those ways there, we've just discussed some drills to help you improve that depending on what it is you need to work on. So if you're not sure what that is, guys, I do offer personalized online coaching. So I can help you with that online by sending your swings through to me on video. And then I can send you back with the analysis and the drills specific to you to help improve your strike and improve your game. But for now, get some spray, some foot spray, some strike spray or some face tape on your irons when you're practicing. Become aware of where you're hitting it. You need it high or low on the face if you're practicing on a range mat. If you're practicing on grass, obviously over time you start to build this pattern of, is it fat, is it thin, or is it a bit of both? But hopefully that gives you an instruction into some skill work to help improve those areas and help you get it striking it solid much more often. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, please post them below, and I look forward to seeing you next time.